You have news today, and that is the fact that you have closed on this $2.8 billion acquisition of Stelco, which is a collection of Canadian assets. What does this bring to the table for Cleveland-Cliffs?
It's a great addition to our footprint. We are very, very excited with the opportunity of owning the steel company of Canada. Stelco is the largest steel maker in Canada. We like the country, we like the footprint, we like the business, and we believe it to be a great fit for our existing business in the United States.
The fact that Stelco will continue to operate as a wholly owned subsidiary of Cleveland-Cliffs, what does that enable, and what does that signal about how much of these assets will be servicing specifically that market versus working with the rest of your portfolio?
Yeah, we are still going to extract $120 million of synergies at the very least. So we make no mistake, we're going to integrate Stelco. But Stelco will be operated as a separate entity because that's the way to do it. And that's the way to maximize the impact of being in a different geography, operating with a different currency, and taking advantage of things that are Canadian specific. So the synergies will happen in terms of feedstock, in terms of commercial, but Stelco will be Stelco, and there will be a subsidiary owned by Cleveland-Cliffs.
So Lake Erie Works specifically, it's a new low-cost integrated steelmaking facility. It's the newest one, actually, in North America. Why is that so important? What makes it so valuable?
Well, it's a very good layout, and layout is very important because the vast majority of integrated mills, they grew over time, and by adding capacity in specific parts of the plant. In the case of Lake Erie Works, it was all done in a very well thought process, and I would say that the layout is ideal in terms of an integrated steel mill. So we are absolutely going to take advantage of the fact that we can actually grow capacity in that footprint.
This is your third major deal for the company in less than 4 years. How does it speak to how you're transforming the portfolio?
Yeah, we know how to do M&A. When you have a friendly counterpart, when you have the support of the union, that's extremely important. And when you have the governments involved, supportive of what we're trying to accomplish, things happen. And that's the recipe for success. You have a good target, and you have the surroundings working in your favor. The main thing for this is the union. I can't thank enough or the USW for being with us from the get-go, from the very beginning. And we are very, very pleased with the welcome that we are receiving from the government of Canada in all levels, federal, provincial, local. So we are super excited what is coming ahead for Cliffs owning Stelco.
The last time you and I spoke, it was to discuss US Steel, which is still going through this CFIUS process in this acquisition process with Nippon. We know both presidential candidates have voiced opposition to that deal. Are you still interested? Are you still in the market, depending on how things shake out and whether that collapses next year?
Yeah, you know very well my position on US Steel. We discussed that on December 18, and since then a few times, December 18th of last year. Look, today we really would like to focus on Stelco. But you said CFIUS, but don't forget that they haven't got clearance even from anti-dumping. I'm sorry, antitrust. So they haven't gotten clearance from the DOJ yet. So they are so far behind on their schedule to close that we just don't know what's going to happen there. But we are not concerned about that. We're focused on what we were able to get, which is Stelco, and it's a great fit for Cleveland-Cliffs.
We are just a few days away from the presidential election. How are you navigating those potential outcomes? How is Cleveland-Cliffs prepared to, or thinking about how that's going to play out for the market for steelmaking and for your end customers next year and beyond?
I think we have done a good job in explaining what steel making is for the country, and we did a good job on both sides. So Harris or Trump, for us, is not going to mean a big difference. And that's probably one of the big exceptions on a litany of things that can be really night and day, depending on who is the next president of the United States. We don't see that on steel. I believe that the importance of manufacturing and the importance of steel at the very basis of the very foundation of manufacturing in the United States is abundantly clear, both to the Harris campaign and to the Trump campaign. So we're very pleased with what we have done. We believe that we launched good basis, good foundation for what's coming, and we can't wait for 2025. There's a lot coming our way in 2025. We're super excited, and as far as steel, we're going to be okay no matter who is the next president of the United States.
We have seen tariffs implemented on certain types of steel imports into the U.S. over the years. That started under the last administration, the Trump administration. We've seen those largely kept by the current administration, even ratcheted up to a certain extent, depending on the products. Are tariffs working, and is that a piece of the puzzle that you expect to continue into next year and beyond?
Yeah, tariffs work, but tariffs are, let's put it like this, tariffs is medicine. And it's important not to get sick. And we are sick in the United States. We don't understand, we as a country, we don't understand how bad it is for the country to allow for imports to destroy the economy. Destroy the economy. Just to give another good quarter to a company, or 2 or 10, you cannot destroy the fabric of capitalism by allowing Chinese, Japanese, Germans, French, all these people to come to this country, particularly coming through this country to a back door in Mexico, and basically destroy what we have here, complicate the lives of the middle class in the Midwest. And just because the big picture is okay, the lives of Americans are not okay. So that was the biggest accomplishment of this last year in showing that the Chinese are not our friends. Everybody knows that. Now they know that the Japanese are not our friends either. So that's what we're going to have in 2025, a more realistic approach. If tariffs are necessary, I am sure that both sides, Harris or Trump, will be ready to deploy. I hope we don't even need to do that. We're going to block them from accessing the U.S. market through the back door earlier, and then we don't even need tariffs.
And of course, with your portfolio and now with Stelco added to the mix, which is Canada, still part of North America, and obviously we have this trade agreement, USMCA, you certainly are positioning yourself, it would seem, for that future.
Absolutely. I believe that Canada is the only real partner that the United States really have. It's the only one that really shares the same values, does the same things. You just saw the Canadian government implementing restrictions on Chinese electric vehicles and other things in a very similar way that we did here in the United States. So I expect more of that. And I hope I will be, in my humble capacity, able to facilitate the dialogue between the two countries and unifying the actions between the United States and Canada. The only two real friends in the world against a lot of people that are not really friends of the United States.
So if we take a step back, what are you seeing in the steelmaking market right now? We've just had a number of automakers report earnings this week, for example. We know that market continues to be soft. You're the top producer of steel for the auto industry. What are you seeing, and what is it reflecting about the state of the economy from your vantage point?
Yeah, automotive is very important to the existing Cliffs footprint. And the main reason I pursued the acquisition of Stelco is that because they are not in automotive. You are going to see us doing a lot more in non-automotive, because I believe that automotive needs to really rethink their strategy on how they are going to pursue the supply chain, how they are going to work with the supply chain. If the supply chain is not able to be profitable, then there's no future for automotive. But I believe that sanity will prevail, and the supply chain will be better understood by the automotive manufacturers, and then we all can make money together. If we can't make money together, forget it. The end of the chain, the car manufacturer will be able to survive a couple quarters, but then reality will prevail. We are seeing the difference between some car manufacturers against others already. So we see some starting to understand, others more reluctant. But I believe that 2025 will be a good year to bring this new way of doing business to the supply chain in automotive. We will work on that.
As we do have this conversation, I mean, China does dictate so much of the prices that we see in the markets globally for things like steel and the inputs into steel. Is that something that you expect to shift and to change as you do see these supply chains begin to come apart more aggressively?
Yeah, we can't allow countries to have overcapacity by design. In steel, we know that for at the very least, for 45 years, maybe 50. It started with Japan designing overcapacity to supply other countries with a surplus that is artificial, and it's just coming to destroy jobs and destroy the ability of the economy to function well. The Chinese multiplied in size what the Japanese were doing in the 80s. And starting in 2005, 2008, they start doing in a much bigger scale and then became more visible. And what they did in steel, they're now trying to do in cars. So if we really want to buy cheap, the Chinese can produce cheap cars. And then the automotive industry will shut down in the United States and everybody will see it. That's what has been happening with the steel industry in this country through the last 4 decades. Remember, Cleveland-Cliffs is what Bethlehem was, LTV was, AK Steel was, Weirton was, and now Stelco. So we are basically benefiting, quote unquote, benefiting from what's happening. But we don't want that to continue to happen. We want this to stop. And that's our fight, and that's what we have been explaining to both sides, Trump and Harris, and we believe we made a lot of progress in 2024.
So your outlook for steel prices then?
I never have an outlook for steel prices, but of course we work to make money and we want price to go higher, and we'll do everything in our power that's legal to increase prices.